Hey Shoppa Freaks, I'm Tia from the Influencer AI, where you can create your own AI person to advertise and model for your business.
Hi Shopper Freaks, that was Tia, an AI influencer created on our platform. I'm Zeeshaan, the non-AI co-founder at the Influencer AI. Let me show you the 3 ways to make your e-commerce store seem like a multi-million-dollar operation. Step 1. Go to the influencer.ai and create your own custom unique AI influencer, matching your customer's demographic. Step 2. Create studio quality photos in seconds with your consistent AI person wearing your collection or holding your product. Any adjustments you need, outfit changes, background changes, do them with a simple text prompt like a magic incantation. Step 3. Bring all of this to life with professional videos starring your AI influencer pitching your product. Use this for your product detail pages, for social media, or ad creatives. And do all this in under an hour for a fraction of what a professional photo shoot costs. Get started now. Go to the influencer.ai and create your first AI influencer.
Welcome to the third episode of 90-Second Pitches, the show that helps you discover innovative e-commerce technology from some of the most promising startups. I'm really excited about today's episode. This is going to be a fun one. Haven't had anything else like this on the show. And honestly, I haven't seen anything like this technology in the USA. I've seen previews of it coming out of China, but this is the first tech that I've really seen that's been available to you and me right now. So I'm excited to introduce, you just saw his pitch. This is Zeeshaan Lakdawala, and he's the co-founder of the Influencer AI alongside his wife, Anika. Thanks for coming, Zeeshaan.
Thank you, Paul, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Again, I'm really glad that you decided to pilot this series with me, be our third pitch. This is exactly the kind of technology that I was hoping to introduce during this series, stuff that's not commonplace, technology that people haven't seen every single day. So thanks very much. Everyone just saw the pitch. Now we want to dive right into a demo so they can see how it works in action.
Perfect. So let's get straight to it. I'm going to start by showing you an example of what you can do with this. So this is a person that does not exist. It's just a figment of my imagination that I turned into a video. This is the final outcome. So I'm just going to play it out for you. So now I'm gonna walk you through the steps to make something like this, starting from scratch. So you come onto our website and you make an account, you pick a plan, then you get to our dashboard. And at this point, you get to create an AI influencer of your own. That's what we call these avatars, AI influencers. And once you make them, you get this one consistent person to use for your photos, for videos, to show your products, to wear your clothes, whatever you need. And there's 3 ways to make an AI influencer like this. One is you pick one of our pre-made models. We've made a bunch of them, and you can pick one of those. That's the pre-made option here. The second is called your AI clone. And this is where you upload your own photos and you make a clone of yourself. And then you make that clone speak and wear your clothes and hold your products. But the most popular one on our platform is the AI influencer builder. And I'm just going to click into that to show you what it looks like. And so how it works here is you give your influencer a name. Let's call her Joanna, a woman. Let's say she's white Northern European. She's young. Or let's make her a little bit older. Give her green eyes. She's slim. She has long hair. They're curly and they're dark brown. And you can keep doing this. And then I hit generate preview, and I'm going to wait till it generates a preview. This is just a preview. And you can do this as many times until you get the outcome that you really like. It takes a few seconds. And so this is Joanna. And let's say, all right, I think this is pretty good. This is what I had in mind. She looks like she's about 45. And yeah, that's what I had in mind. That's my demographic. Let's say I'm selling apparel to 40-somethings. So then I had created an AI influencer. And this kicks off the process of actually making this person in the background. And so this will take 5 minutes. So I'm just going to jump into an AI influencer that I already created some time ago. So let me introduce you to Tiago. Tiago is supposed to be from South America. He's in his late 20s, early 30s. This is someone I've made earlier. So when you select the AI influencer, this is the dashboard you come onto. I have already generated a few photos of him, but I'll just tell you where to focus your eyes. So this box is the key, where all the magic starts, or where all the magic continues. You can tell your AI influencer, or you can describe the photo of what you want your AI influencer to be like right now. So this is the prompt section. We have a few ready-made prompts. So let's say my goal at this point is, like, if you remember, to hold the Stanley Cup and to talk about it. So to begin with, you generate a generic photo of a person holding a cup. So this is one of our pre-made prompts, but you can change it to whatever you want. So I'm going to say presenting a cup toward the camera, holding it. Let's just say presenting a cup towards the, and the rest I can leave it as the default. You can choose your aspect ratio. The tall aspect ratio is the one commonly used on social media. You choose the number of photos and you hit generate. And this takes usually under a minute, but I'm going to go with one I already generated some time ago. So these are a few I generated earlier. So I'm going to take this one. So this is generated by the same prompt that we use, very similar one. So holding a cup by the handle, presenting it towards the camera. Now this is your base canvas. And there are a few things you can do with this. You can directly turn this into a video at this point. You can change his clothes. You can edit the photo with just a prompt. So I'm just gonna give you a taste of what you can do. You can just say, make this t-shirt green, and hit edit. It will take under 10 seconds, and it should at least change nothing else in the photo, but just make his t-shirt green.
Look at that.
And you can do anything with this. So you don't need editing skills. You just describe what you want to. But here's the cool part. Now I'm marketing Stanley cups, let's say. And so I hit combine images with AI. I literally Googled Stanley Cup, and I came onto this Amazon page here, and I just take a screenshot of this like that. I have it up there. I'll go back onto my, here we are, combine images with AI. I'll just drag this down, and I will just say, man holding this Stanley Cup by the handle. Sometimes it needs a couple of times to get it right, but it often just gets it right on the first go. So we're gonna see live how this turns out. Otherwise, I have a not bad. His finger is a bit odd. Let's go with this for now, but you can always try again, and you can make them hold it in different angles and things like that. And then you hit save image copy, and it saves it. Now, let's say you feel this looks a bit grainy. You can upscale it, and this is a really good upscaler. It does this very intelligently, and it doesn't just sharpen everything, but it sharpens it cleverly. If there's a bokeh effect, it accounts for that as well. All right, this looks good. Now let's make him. Let's bring him to life. So we hit create a video. All right, and now we want him to be talking about the Stanley Cup. And so you can write any prompt that you want, but we have some ready-made ones. And this one is product demo that I have here. You can choose between 5 or 10 seconds. So let's go with 5 for now. And I'll hit generate video. And this will start the process of generating a video. Now this takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to jump to a video I've already created. From this sidebar here, I'll go to videos. I've created a bunch of them. This is the one that's being created right now. But let's look at one that was already created. So at this point, it's a silent video. So he's moving his lips, but he's not saying anything. And then you go to lip sync. And then you can make him say whatever you want, and it'll make his mouth move to make it seem like he's literally saying that. You can choose a voice. We have a bunch of voices with different accents. You can see what it sounds like and then pick the one that you think would be ideal for this guy. And then you can write whatever you want. This is a Stanley Cup. Buy this. It's great for Shopper Freaks fans. All right. And then you hit generate lip sync. And then in a minute or two, that creates the outcomes that you saw at the beginning of this video with the guy talking about it. We can jump into a lip sync and see some of the examples of what this creates. The one that we just started the creation of is still in process, but we can see a few. So, for example, this one is, and the same person with the same video can say different things. So let's make him. Here we have another one. And this is what you can do with the platform. You can take anything, and you can do this with clothes. You want to make your influencer wear your clothes, you can do that. You want to make them hold the product, you can do that. You can make it look just the way you want to. You can generate hundreds of these to test out what exactly works for your audience. And there you go. There you have it.
That's pretty amazing. Hey, do me a favor, close that screen share. Let's dive into the technology a little bit more. One thing came to mind as I was seeing that last video example is I assume you can maybe put the influencer from different angles as well too. Is that correct?
Yeah. So how you would do that is in the edit photo section, you can describe the angle that you want to look at that influencer from. You can do this in multiple ways. So
because even though you're only doing like 5-second clips, if you take that same influencer, put them into different angles, put them into different situations, you can make a video that isn't just somebody looking into the camera the entire time talking. You can make a more engaging video where there's splitting from one scene to another. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in the end, that's how you would probably end up using it too. We have a few examples of this on our landing page as well, where we've stitched together multiple 5 or 10-second videos, and to make it engaging. So each 5-second clip is slightly different from a different angle, but overall, it's like this engaging, coherent story that you can tell.
Now, I want to do the big reveal. This is actually not Zeeshaan. This is an influence. I'm just kidding.
Surprise! We can do this live as well. Yeah.
No, so talk to me about what's going on behind the scenes with the technology. Act as if I know nothing about AI models other than a few names: ChatGPT, Gemini. So I know that you're working with those models. What's happening next, and how has it all come together?
So we work on top of a bunch of different models, and we're constantly changing this. So this is not static. We're literally changing these models a couple of times a month. So every time there is a better model, we change it. So about a month and a half ago, Google released an editing model that was really good. It was called Nano Banana. And this one had ridiculously good outcomes. So that edit you saw, change his t-shirt to green, that was based on Nano Banana. We could do that before, but it changed too much. It didn't keep enough of the photo the same. But this just makes it work like magic. And that's how it works. So we just picked the best model at the moment, and we're constantly looking to have the best right now. So we use something called Flux for images. We use something called Kling for video. And we're also experimenting with Google's Veo 3 right now. So this is what we use under the hood.
But what's the difference between using Nano Banana directly versus running it through the influencer AI? What are you adding to the equation?
In this case specifically with Nano Banana, all we're adding is a few system prompts to it. Things like keep the rest the same, etc. So we add more magic in other parts, like when you actually make the influence or getting this consistent person. That's where a lot of the magic comes in. So keeping your same consistent character through the photo generations and through the videos, that's where a lot of our magic sauce comes in. And then it's the combination of this along with these tools that make it more than the sum of its parts. One of the key, go ahead.
Say because that's the issue. At least I've run into with trying to use AI, is that you end up with something close to what you want, and then you want to make a minor change, like for example the T-shirt, or I want to swap out the mug with something else. And at least in my experience with consumer tools like ChatGPT, you go from like this photorealistic image and then you ask it for one small change, and next thing you know, it like outputs a cartoon style that has nothing to do with what you wanted, or a different person altogether. So that's where this becomes a value. That's where it becomes a utility for e-commerce brands, is that they can't have 6 different lifestyle shots with characters, avatars that only look slightly similar between them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. ChatGPT does not the best at this. So yeah, that's the beauty of something like this, where you can just combine a bunch of models, and we know how to tweak the parameters to these models as well to get the best out of them. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about use cases. You showed one in the video. You said in the screen share, you said this is making videos. I guess e-commerce brands could use that on their product pages, for reels, on advertisements, et cetera, et cetera. So outputting videos of your avatar using the product, that's one use case. What are some other things you can do with it?
For example, on your product detail page, if you have your AI influencer wearing your product, to go from a generic standard photo, let's imagine right now you just have a t-shirt, maybe you are wearing the t-shirt, you now go to an influencer wearing the t-shirt, and you can make this a video. So your product detail pages could all be videos. That makes it way more engaging. So rather than seeing a static image of the t-shirt, the person is modeling it, maybe turning around, you can see from different angles, maybe walking, just makes it a little bit more engaging. That's one example. In terms of clothes, you can show people of different body sizes wearing your clothes, what it could look on them. In terms of product, the great thing is they can pitch your product. You can try different pitches. You can make them hold it in many ways. It reproduces the product very realistically, faithfully. We've also seen people using this platform a lot to create AI influencers and put them on Instagram. And we have a customer who now has a few thousands of followers and a lot of engagement with an influencer they created off this platform. And I think that could also, for e-commerce stores, they can have this one consistent brand ambassador who not only wears their clothes on the product detail pages, but also talks about their brand on Instagram. It's like they really hired a PR person to do everything, to be their brand ambassador in their product photos, talk about it, all of it.
I'm just curious, is that particular example you're giving, are they transparent about the fact that it's an influencer model?
Yes. And yes, they are. I think it doesn't work always. I think in some use cases, it could work. In another example, there is one of our clients uses an AI influencer to talk about Greece. So she describes Greece, and she's in different parts of Greece. And it's more about what she says, like the statistics and the history, and then maybe it doesn't matter as much that she's an AI influencer, because you get to watch this and you learn something from the words that she's saying. And I suppose the words are his own; they're not AI generated. And so I think it can work in some cases and cannot work in others. I would say you should still just say that it's an AI influencer. I think with time it should matter less and less, and people will just judge the quality of the content regardless of who made it. As long as it's good content, it's good content. I think that's the future.
Right now, we're all trying to figure it out. I actually had a client send me a video from a competitor. They said, I really like this video. And it was very much similar to the kind of video that you were just showing in the example. So where the influencer is in the entire frame and they're talking. And my first thought was, is this AI? And I remember I didn't even listen to the words of the video. Like, that was the point of why she sent it to me, was like, listen to what they're talking about. But I must have played it like 10 times before I even listened to it, because I was looking at the hair. Is the hair moving? Are her teeth straight? Are her fingers doing weird things? So right now it's still a bit of a novelty. And I do think, transparency is the way to go with it. But that being said, there have been some influencer, AI generated influencer accounts that have popped off to millions of subscribers.
Yeah.
Maybe they got in early and it's less of a novelty now than it would have been a year ago. But like, there was one girl in particular that shows up at like baseball games. She's always doing cool stuff, but she's never actually there. Have you seen that one floating around?
No, I haven't seen this one. I've seen the one where it's like ancient characters are talking about life as if it's modern times. So they show like Jesus, but he's talking about like his cell phone or something like that, or like he's talking in a very modern way. I think you can do cool stuff with AI. Yeah,
but you're catering to who? Obviously, anybody can use this and do whatever they want to with it.
Yeah.
But in the use cases, you're more catering for business use cases. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was our goal. I had an e-commerce store many years ago, and so it was a long time ago and it was never very huge, but we did already have a taste of the problems that we faced then, and so that's who I have in mind often when I'm building this. But there are use cases that I also haven't imagined with this. So people are using it in ways that I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be used, or at least building it for. But yeah, that's how it is. But I think right now when I build features, when I add features to this, it's more to help e-commerce store owners, small business owners.
You gave a good example that I hadn't thought of before. And also, it's one that we hadn't talked about before in our previous conversations. You were talking about how you could showcase your clothes across multiple sized people. And so it gives brands the ability to be a little bit more inclusive. I'm trying to think back. It was a couple years ago. I think Walmart, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Walmart, tried experimenting with something like that. I don't know if they still do it, but they were like, show me what these clothes look like on my size figure, not on this small figure. But it wasn't using AI. They were actually using, I believe, real models and just doing multiple shoots. Whereas typically you go to a product page and you have just oftentimes one model and maybe 6 to 10 different lifestyle photos of that one model wearing the clothes. And Walmart at the time, again, don't quote me, I believe it was Walmart, but at the time they had a toggle where you could choose the model that most represented you, and then it basically just replaces on the page. So but that's expensive, and that's Walmart. They can afford to do anything. But your average e-commerce brand hiring models for the day, doing a shoot, editing photos, that gets very pricey. So I didn't think about that use case, but that's really interesting that you can ultimately recreate what they had going on just with your 4, 5, or 3, different AI models. AI
Exactly.
influencers, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just about size, but you can generate a really diverse set of models basically instantly, when otherwise you'd need to be a size of Walmart to do it.
What's you mentioned that some of your clients are doing some interesting stuff, and any you can share? You don't have to give the name necessarily, but just in terms of the use case.
I've already mentioned a couple of those. The one talking about Greece, for example. There's a fitness AI influencer as well created of our platform. There's one. One guy has a band, and he's made like a brand, a representative for his band, who then like talks about when they have their next shows and what they're gonna play next, and it's all made by this AI influencer, and it's just the kind of target group that I would never have in mind. Like a person who owns a band is using an AI influencer to market his band.
That's pretty cool. It's like back in the old days, people would pick up their own phone and act like they had a secretary. Hold, please. And now it's like you can act like on social media like you have a manager or somebody else pumping you. It gives you a way to talk about yourself in third person perspective instead of just getting online and always talking directly from you. It adds that ability without having actually someone else do it.
It's a tool like this makes your e-commerce store seem like it has a bigger budget than it really does, because when someone lands on your store and they see that there's like videos of models of different diversities, it makes you seem like you are a big budget operation. I that's the thought I had when I was using this.
One idea that I really want to try implementing, because I'm a subscriber now too to the influencer AI. I've just not I've dabbled with it, but I've not yet implemented it into any of the stores that I work with. But one thing that I want to do, because I've been wanting to do this for like over a year, I've just not really had the resources available to do it with these particular clients. I want to replace the entire collection page with short videos instead of images. I've seen another brand or two do that. I love video. I abuse video on e-commerce websites because I think it changes the entire dynamic of the page. But typically it's like we add a big collection video at the top, and we'll have that that we reformat and put into social media. But I like one of the clients I work with, they had all these amazing videos on social media and YouTube. But when I first started working with them and I went to the website, they didn't have anything on the website at all, not a single video. And I said, why? Like you're spending all this time and energy. Let's repurpose this. And so now if
Yeah.
you go to the website, the home page, the collection pages, again, I tell you, I abuse it even when you're on the individual product pages. If the individual product doesn't have a video, as you scroll down the page, I repurpose the collection video on the template itself too. I just think video sells. And so I've been wanting to experiment with a collection page that has all of them. So that's probably the first real use case that I'm going to attempt to do with the influencer AI.
Yeah, that's the fast. And how did that go for them? How did that
Honestly,
help? Did that, yeah?
I can't pinpoint exactly what the video did because we did so many changes at one time.
Yeah.
But I've been working with them
Yeah.
for about a year. And just looking back at last year around this time, I think they're up 300% in revenue month over month. So, again, it's all small details, but I'm confident that when it comes to especially a small brand that doesn't necessarily have familiarity and you're bringing in cold traffic from Google Ads or somewhere else, you really need to sell the credibility of the brand and say, this is buy us instead of Lululemon or buy us instead of Nike. And I think having video and no one knows how many sales you do behind the scene. They only know what they see. And so that's where I think video shines in this area.
Yeah. And I think this is like one of the areas where AI could genuinely, well, let's say improve productivity or make it better for them. I mean, it's a tool that can, what previously was the bottleneck of finding models and getting a diverse set of models, filming them. It just shortens that whole process and makes it so much cheaper right now with tech. And I think that's like the ideal use case of tech like this, right? When it like saves you money and time. There's no other better way to employ tech.
Now, one publication recently got in trouble with AI models, a fairly large one. Not to say that this could happen, but are you familiar with the Vogue scandal? Do you remember that from a couple months ago or a few months ago?
Remind me of this one. What was it?
If I'm remembering correctly, basically Vogue employed AI models through an agency. They just weren't very transparent about it. And so it got a lot of backlash for a magazine as big as Vogue to do that. But I think it all really just comes down to the transparency. Nobody wants to be fooled. I think we're all still kind of figuring out our relationship and our tolerance with AI. And so we see the benefit. We just don't want to feel like we're trying to be duped. Every TikTok video where you see something strange, you read the comments and it's always the same vibe, which is, now with AI, you can't tell the difference between anything. They brought out there's like government conspiracies. They brought out AI so that now you can't tell the difference between the real weird stuff that they're trying to hide. Because as soon as you see something weird, imagine if you saw a video with aliens and it was a true video. Your first time,
you would.
This is
exactly. AI. Yeah. Well, that's our future right now. Yeah. But I'm all for transparency. I don't think you need. I mean, it's exactly this, right? People don't want to feel like they're being fooled, but you can just be honest about it and let the content be judged on the basis of its quality, not how it's made.
Especially when it's serving utility. And I think the example you gave earlier, I love that example of showing the different sized figured models. That's a utility. I think it's like, I know that this is AI generated, but it's still serving a purpose, which is letting me see visually what it could look like on me. I didn't have that option before. So it's like, would I rather have that option with AI or not have that option because I'm on my high horse about how I don't
exactly. Yeah.
Not that I really know people like that. I just I might be a little bit more sensitive to AI just because of the industry that we work in, and so I'm cautious from I look at it from a perspective of a consumer, but also from businesses, like the responsibility that we have as businesses to employ it properly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now you've got a background in AI. Talk to me a little bit about that. You previously had a business that was an AI that you exited it from, and that led to this?
Exactly. Yeah. So I used to work as a software engineer for many, many years. And we've started businesses in the past. By we, I mean my wife and I. So we've had an e-commerce store. We started a couple of things before. And right around the time that ChatGPT was announced, and there was also Sora. It wasn't Sora back then. It was DALL-E. And there's a YouTuber called MKBHD, and he made a video about a person. an astronaut sitting on a horse on the moon. There's like just this one picture of an astronaut sitting on the horse on the moon. And he said that he did this with a prompt. And that just blew my mind, that you can now create photos just from nothing by describing it. Like now it seems so commonplace, but back then it was magic, and not even all that long ago. This was 2001, I think, or 2002. And so I was really into it, and I was just doing it as a hobby, just spending way too much time after work into this kind of thing. And I figured out that you can take someone's likeness and then turn that. And we launched this company, which we called the Multiverse AI, where it takes your likeness, which didn't exist back then. So it takes Paul, and then you can turn Paul into a superhero, or turn Paul into this professional wearing a suit. And we launched this, and it just blew up on our, like, I just posted about it on LinkedIn and like a few other social media platforms, and it just really became viral. And everyone was using the professional headshots outcomes. So they all wanted to get great photos for LinkedIn using AI. And so this became huge for a while, and was doing well. And we iterated on it. We started selling it to companies as well. And then at some point, the technology also matured, and it grew a lot beyond that. And I realized that AI headshots is just a tiny, tiny speck of what this can do. And so already at that time, I had it in my mind. Something like the influencer.ai was already forming in my mind, but the tech hadn't caught up to it yet. There weren't AI videos yet. And then, early this year, we sold the business, we exited. And already around that time, I started building the influencer.ai. And we didn't launch an MVP. We went against the grain, and we actually built a fairly full-fledged product where I actually sat and built it for a few months before we launched this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but I had this conviction that I am on the right path. And I think in modern times, MVPs have to be a bit more polished. Considering how fast you can get to a basic product with AI, I think just making it a little bit polished will help you stand out. And soon after launching, we started getting traction, and people we don't know started using it, and a lot of our traffic is also word of mouth. SEO is also a big source of traffic, and so it's clear we're onto something. We're both very product led. So I'm an engineer, and my wife is a UX designer, and so we try to make the product as good as it can be. But yeah, with marketing, it's a little harder for us. But we really want to get this product into the hands of the people who could benefit from it.
When you first started developing the concept, was it specifically for the use cases that we had talked about? Were you serving e-commerce brands? Was it business focused? Or did you pivot along the way after you got started actually developing out the tech?
So since we started, it's not a lot has changed fundamentally. So the product is fundamentally quite similar. We were targeting e-commerce sites like we spoke about, but it so happened that a chunk of our customers were making AI influencers. I suppose a part of that is also the selection bias that comes with the name, the influencer.ai. It shows up on searches for AI influencer, and so a big reason is that as well. And so that is not necessarily what I had in mind as the primary use case. I did consider it, but people often use this just to make an AI influencer for Instagram or TikTok or something like that. But yeah, I think e-commerce is still the right fit. The right fit is just about getting it in front of them right now.
What's when it comes to developing this, I know you had experience with working with large language models only before it was strictly photos in your previous business, right? So when you switched over to video, what are some of the, I guess, the obstacles with developing this that you ran into? Am I correct in imagining that it's like while you're building this, you're simultaneously working with the roadmaps and with the sometimes surprise progress of the models themselves? You build something today, and then tomorrow there's an announcement, and you're like, I didn't know we could do that yesterday. Now I have to build that too. Is it kind of like playing constant catch up, or what's it been like?
Yeah, spot on. That's exactly how it is. Sometimes I spend way too much time on one thing, and then by the time I'm done with that, there's another model that's totally different. But that's just part of the game. The key is to be fast. So as soon as this editing model came out, we added it into the platform, and it was doing very well because people hadn't even realized that this level of editing this quality of editing is possible. And so just being one of the first people out there to really employ this into the flow was very, very good for us. So I think being fast is how I have to deal with this.
Are other competitors popping up quickly in the space? I feel like everything with AI, as soon as there's one, there's 20. And one example I keep seeing pop up is like one company with AI answer generation optimization will get $100 million in funding. And then the next week in Shopper Freaks, I'm talking about another company. There was actually 1 week in Shopper Freaks, I profiled 2 companies that had done raises of tens of millions of dollars. And it's like, this didn't exist on this level before. Now suddenly there's 5 or 6 companies in the span of 2 months that just raised tens of millions of dollars. Is that what you're seeing? Because you've been doing this a few months. Are you seeing similar in your space?
I haven't yet come across something that is very close, like this end-to-end service that we have. Most of the competitors that are popping up are in specific areas, like specifically for the edits or specifically for the videos. Some of the ones that exist right now, there's one called Synthesia, I think. They also use they license the likeness of a real person. And so this is not pure AI generated. In fact, it was one of those situations where they said it was AI, but it was not, which is you never hear of that, right? But it's just like, because it was fairly realistic. And so they were kind of trying to pass off real videos as something that was AI generated. In reality, the lip sync was AI generated, like what you saw on the last step on our demo. But the video was
so
real person.
Funny.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that company whose name I can't remember that raised multiple rounds and said they were using AI to automatically shop for people online. And it turns out it was just a call center of Philippine workers who were doing the actual work. And they got in a lot of trouble for fraudulently lying to investors, So that's what that reminds me of. It's like, it's AI, but I should start that business where it's just like, enter your prompt. And it's just me on camera like this right here. And someone enters the prompt on YouTube and I'm just like, or on TikTok Live. And I'm just like, Stanley cups are the best.
There's another company called Builder.ai. It turned out they hired a bunch of Indians to do the actual coding in the back. And
I saw that one too.
Yeah.
So things are popping up. That means you got to move fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the key. Yeah.
You guys are a small team. Is that I know in one hand you can be nimble, and that's a good thing because it's just the 2 of you. And so someone requests the feature, you can put it out the next day or the next week, whereas larger teams have bureaucracy. But at the same time, you're probably up against other companies that have a workforce of 30. So how does that how does that smallness give you strength in this space?
So far, it's been a strength. A few days ago, we had an email from one of our customers that said that she's generating photos for a client, and a lot of her clients are based in the Middle East, and she wants to be able to generate influencers with a hijab. And I think she just sent this offhand, not expecting anything. And the next day, I added this into the create your influencer flow. You can now, if it's a woman, you can make her wear the head covering, the hijab. And I sent this to her, and she instantly upgraded to our professional plan, our $99 plan. And yeah, I'm sure she was surprised in a very positive way, and she's probably going to be a customer for a while. And there's multiple situations of this where customers tell me something and I just get straight to it. And I like to do this. It's like this thing that just, it gives me joy when I just immediately implement it. And like I tell the customer within a day that, oh, this is done. No, none of them are really expecting it. And it's like you're building I'm building these loyal customers one by one by doing things like that. And this also lets me build the product tailored to what people actually want. Of course, I don't just build what anyone asks for all the time, but these are customers who've been using our platform from the beginning. They're on the paid plans. And I also feel like it's useful. So it's been a good thing so far. And I have been able to keep up with the changes. But we have 2 kids. We have 2 young kids. One's 3 and one is 5 months old. So I work 7 days a week, not necessarily 8 hours a day, but I'm working a lot. But so far I enjoy it. I like the fact that it's our own thing. And people like it.
You know the feeling. I feel like I heard one of them in the background a minute ago. Was that one of the babies crying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I've got a 2.5-year-old here, and so I always tell them before I start recording. I was like, "Hey, Papa's gonna go upstairs and do audio recording, so stay downstairs. Don't come up." Because you would hear her. She'd come upstairs and start screaming and running back and forth. We're a loud household. I'm a loud Papa in general. But
Yeah, I
on the
had this
note
exact
of
conversation. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
note of features, I wanted to ask, what are some of the most requested features? It sounds like you're able to implement some features as they are requested, but then there are others, I imagine, that are a little bit more heavy lifting than something you can put out in an afternoon or a day. So what are some of those features that are requested? And maybe at the same time, what are some things that you plan on adding to it down the road?
The big one is videos that are longer than 10 seconds. That's one we've been asked about a lot. And I have a rough plan in my mind how of basically me stitching together videos in the back. So they write me a prompt, they choose the number of seconds, and then I turn this into multiple prompts for multiple 10-second videos. So this is something I'm experimenting with. I haven't yet got it up to a quality where I would think that this is worth releasing. So this is a challenging one, but it's clear that people want this. So longer videos. So this will probably take a bit of time. There are things that we get asked for a couple of times, like tagging photos, for example. Like they want categories. People have generated thousands and thousands of photos, and right now we don't have a categorization system. And so this is something we get asked about. And so this is something I'll probably add in the near future. I have a list that I keep adding to. Right now our maximum plan is $99. And we have some power users who run into their limits, and then they have to constantly buy more credits. And so we got asked for a bigger plan. So maybe down the line, something like a bigger enterprise plan or a custom plan.
That one seems
That is
like a
something.
positive problem to have. Of all the
Yeah,
ones, you're like,
definitely.
I could fix that one pretty quick.
Yeah, I would just have to plan it, because with every pricing tier, you get a certain number of credits. There is no unlimited plan, because it cannot be. This is expensive on our end. It's not a classic software business that has massive margins. There are decent margins, but it's expensive to generate videos as well. You asked me some time ago how things have changed with AI videos in terms of the development. One thing is also AI video is expensive. So also in the course of development, while I'm experimenting and generating a bunch of videos, that can get costly.
Are we talking about fractions of a cent, though? Like, for example, when you were showing that model creating the Stanley Cup, there's a simple video. I turned an image into a video. Cost-wise, is that fractions of a penny? They just start to add up really quick across lots of users?
No, they're not fractions of a penny. A video of that length costs us about in the tens of cents. So it's something around 30 to 40 cents for a 5-second.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why you have to use the credit system. I never would have guessed that it was so expensive. But again, I've only used the video generation tools kind of on the consumer side, where they're not charging, they're just limiting. But they're not charging
Okay.
because they're trying to get adoption to the apps, But again, this isn't like what you're doing. This is just like going to the Sora app or going to the Meta AI app, playing around with some prompts and seeing what you can put out. I wouldn't be able to get a consistent influencer or avatar throughout the whole thing. Anyway, I had no idea it was so expensive. Are the costs, obviously it got more pricey when you moved into video because it's more processing power, but across the board from image generation to video, is the cost rising across the industry, or has it been pretty stable since you first got into this, or the opposite? Has it gone down since you got into this in 2021, 2022?
The quality has been improving and the price has been going up, but the quality has been improving much faster than the price. But the price has not been going down. The price has been going up. And also what we do is we often have the option of choosing a slightly worse outcome for less money, but we never take that option. We try to make it work somehow, but we always pick the best when we run our models. So we would rather take a little bit more time and use a more powerful computer that costs more, but we want to get really good outcomes at this point in the game. So.
Well, it makes sense because of the use case. Again, if this was just somebody playing around making fun videos on social media, you don't necessarily need the best output. But when you're doing this and saying, hey, this is supposed to compare to the professional quality photography and videos that we do that we're already spending a lot of money on.
Exactly. Yeah.
One other question about the features. What about voice? I think you had mentioned last time we talked that something was on the roadmap for voice. Did I ask you then if I'll be able to use my own voice at some point. I can't remember.
Yeah. The technology is there, as in we don't have this feature yet. It's just because no one has asked for it. Well, that's it. No one's asked for it, and
Okay.
it's like one of those things where I could build it. It would take a bit of time. It's doable, but I don't know that is something that people need right now. And we have a wide range of voices. What I do want to add is perhaps all kinds of accents. We had someone saying that they want a woman speaking with a Malaysian English accent, and you can get that. So you can get any accent you want, and but they're pre-made. We use a service called 11 Labs, which is right now the best at this kind of thing. And
I guess
yeah,
for product use cases, there isn't necessarily a lot of voice if you're just using it on the product pages to showcase things in action. But once you get into social media, I think it'd be fun. Like if I had I can clone myself with the AI influencer, and that's awesome. But the only thing missing from me wanting to use my clone is that it doesn't sound anything like me, or not yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds good like a human, but it doesn't sound like Paul.
Yeah. No, that's a good. I mean, it might be that people don't use this because it doesn't exist, but we also see that the AI clone itself is not used that much. So, yeah,
I want to be conscious of the time and switch gears for a second, because I know folks watching this are also in the SaaS space or developing apps, and I just want to talk to you about growth. How are people finding you? You did mention that SEO is playing a role,
yes,
because of the name. That's probably a big help. But otherwise, I know it's just been a few months, so it's limited info. But how are you growing the company so far? Other than, of course, 90-second pitches.
That's a big one. SEO, apart from SEO, it's a lot of his word of mouth as well. We have this survey about like how did you hear about us, which we added just about a month ago, and it's a good chunk is word of mouth, and so that's a very positive sign. A few people reviewed us, they wrote articles on us, and those did well as well. So there's some Medium articles about us that get us traffic. We have an affiliate marketing scheme as well, and so we give 25% of the money they bring in to us for us. That one is okay. That one did better at our previous business. This one, it's all right. It's like we have a few that do really well, and there's a long tail of affiliates that don't really do much for us. So far, it's just
business was more consumer facing, right? So
I suppose that's why. Yeah, exactly.
The biggest struggle I've seen with B2B affiliate marketing is just attribution comes into play. And like I love affiliate marketing, and I'm an affiliate for hundreds of companies through the travel company. But when it comes to Shopifreaks, I've not really gotten into it too much. And part of it is just because someone discovers tech and says, "Oh, we need to use this for our company." But a lot of times the person who discovers it isn't the person who later installs the app or trials the software or gives it a shot. They pass it off to their agency or their in-house development team, and that gets passed on to a junior developer and so on. So by the time you actually get to the install and the purchase, the click is so far removed from the original person who found it. That's why B2B is a little bit more tough. Not to say it's impossible. A lot of companies are making it work, but it's definitely a struggle for attribution.
I suppose that's why people take the word of mouth. I suppose a colleague told them about it, and that's word of mouth. But the colleague actually discovered it via Google or something like that. So yeah,
I think it'd be interesting for you guys to have. I know you have a background in e-commerce too, to have your own store and your own social media profiles for that store, even if it's a very small store that sells 5 items, a hand selection of 5 print-on-demand items. But the whole point is that when I go to your store, I was talking about how I abuse videos. You guys could just abuse the influencer AI in terms of it is everywhere on every product. But it serves as a live demo of everything that's possible with it. It becomes something shareable. Yeah. It's one thing to watch a video on the site and be like, that's cool, I can do that. But it's another thing to be able to share a website and be like, this is really cool. Look what these guys are doing.
Yeah. Influencers, AI influencers on mugs. We can sell that. The AI influencer holding a mug with an AI. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about new features coming out, But what about I just kind of last thing I wanted to ask you about was just the future of the company in general. What's your vision for it, both as in terms of the technology you hope to build, but then also with the company itself? Do you hope to get an exit with this one? Do you hope to get acquired by somebody else, or grow it and scale it beyond a 2-person team?
Yeah, so right now we're not looking at an exit at this moment. We're just focusing on the medium term. We just want to grow this. We want to make it into a useful product, make it as good as it can be, grow it sustainably. So the bootstrap model worked for us the last time. It's working for us right now. So that's the plan for now. Just grow it to the extent we can as a 2-person team, and at the point where we feel like this is now too much, then bring in someone. That's what we did the last time, and it worked out for us. So I think as long as it's we stay sane, we can keep the product growing and still remain small. We can do that. And the second we feel like things are suffering because it's just the two of us, I would hire. But
I love it.
not looking
That works.
for
I think that's reasonable. It sounds like like you had mentioned earlier, you're product focused. You're not like, hey, let me try to squeeze out as much revenue as possible and profit just for the sake of an exit, while to the detriment of my users. And I think that's attractive for anyone listening to this. There's very few companies, not very few, but they're few and far between the ones that will actually make you a feature just because you request it. So I'm discovering more of them through this podcast series, because that's, I guess, the kind of companies that I'm trying to feature through this, featuring companies that aren't already part of the conversation. I remember talking to the guys, the very first episode we did was with Infinite Color Search. And I remember talking to the founders, and just even before this was real, and I was talking to them about the idea. I was like, here's what I envision. I want to do a show that lets, you put your product in front of my audience and blah, blah, blah. And they sold me on my own idea. They said, listen, already with Shopper Freaks, you cover what's happening with the big players, and that's important. But what doesn't have an outlet currently anywhere is what's happening with the small players like us, because they're, less than a year in business. They said, but we're the future of the industry. We're the companies that are eventually going to get possibly acquired, our tech integrated into larger platforms, or we're going to grow into the next Shopify or the next big thing. They said this is part of the news cycle that's undiscovered right now. So anyway, so that was my goal with doing this whole thing, was just to discover those. And that's honestly, for the past 4 years, almost 5 years of doing Shopper Freaks, I've had the privilege of discovering a lot of tech. I just didn't necessarily have an outlet to let everyone else discover it. So I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you doing the pitch. This is exactly the kind of tech, like I said, that I wanted to present. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right. If you want to check them out, it's theinfluencer.ai. Plans are super affordable right now, before the enterprise plans come, which sounds like they're coming. So go ahead and jump, go ahead and jump on it right now. All right, Zeeshaan, thank you very much. And hey, let them know what you think of the software. If you're going to try it out, drop a comment below this video and subscribe to the channel. We got some great pitches coming up just like this. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.